Thank you. Thank you so much. And hello to all the She Is Me conference attendees. And thank you for having me today as a speaker. So, I want to share with you my story and my journey to heart awareness and being an advocate for healthy hearts. So, this is my son. His name is Clinton Ron Walker. And on a cold February night, February 6th, 2008, to be exact, or February morning. My son's alarm clock went off like normal. And I had just had a conversation with him. He had just turned 17 on January 31st. So it's ironic that I'm talking in the month of January now. He was born January 31st, 1991. And he had just had his birthday, and it was the following week. And I told him, "You're 17. I'm no longer coming in your room to turn off your alarm, wake you up for school." Because he was a typical 17-year-old kid and would love to stay in the bed and dally along as much as he could in the morning. And I'd said, "It's time for you to stop doing that and turn off your own alarm clock." Well, his alarm clock went off on that day, and it kept ringing and it kept ringing. And I threw the covers off myself in the bed, marched over to his room, opened up the door, touched him, said, "Bud," well, turned off the alarm clock, then touched him and said, "Buddy." And from my touch, I knew something was wrong. And when I rolled my son over, there was a trickle of blood that came out of his mouth. And I knew it was really, really bad. He wasn't breathing. He was completely gray. I called his sister and said, "Immediately call 911." Got on the phone with 911. They said, "Do you know CPR?" I did not know it. They said, "We're going to instruct you over the phone on how to give CPR to your son," because there was no pulse, no color, no nothing. I pulled him off the bed as they instructed. And before I could even start chest compressions that they were telling me to do, the paramedics was at my house. I lived right down the street from the fire station. They scooped up my son, who still, after they worked on him and shocked him and everything, had no pulse. And they decided to take him to the hospital. And they got my son back for one day, but he never woke up and he never had any brain activity. And so on this February 7th of 2008, my family and I decided to remove my son from life support. And before we got to that issue, I really want to share with you Clinton. He was a happy, energetic, full of life, typical 17-year-old. My son loved to play basketball. He loved his hip hop music. He loved John Madden video, just your typical kid, and never really had any health issues his entire life, pretty much. But the year before his death, he started experiencing what we were told was um, panic attacks. And so we didn't know why he was having them. We didn't know why he was stressed out. But my son kept saying, "Mom, it's not mental. I'm these." He would jump and he would run and he would shake. And we just couldn't figure out what was going on with him. We took him from doctor to doctor, and he had all kind of tests. He had an MRI, he had a CAT scan, he had an EKG, so many tests prior to his death. And it wasn't until we received his autopsy report that we found out that my son had multiple sequelae of the left coronary artery. Yes, he was born with a congenital heart defect. And what really caused his heart defect to go into um, overage, I guess you would call it, is my son started going through puberty, and he started maturing and started getting tall. Well, that also can be a trigger to something that's lying dormant in your heart, such as a heart defect, such as a left coronary artery that has multiple issues. And we had no clue. But even more sad about this situation is his doctors had no clue. And they did not realize that what they termed as panic attacks were actually seizures, a rare seizure called Jacksonian seizures, where he was not getting enough oxygen in his heart. And so he ran and he jumped and he shaked to try to build oxygen in his lungs to move that through to his brain. And it wasn't until his autopsy report that we found out all of that. And that is what led me to my journey that I'm sharing with you today. So I'd like to talk to you about symptoms of a heart defect, right? Which one of these isn't a heart defect symptom? Is fainting not one? Is a backache not a symptom? Seizures, I gave that one away. Stomach issues, swelling in the body in the lower extremities, shortness of breath. Which one of these would you say is not a symptom of a heart defect? That was a trick question. All of them are. Yes, if you are experiencing fainting, if you have a severe backache, if you're having seizures, if you're having issues eating and keeping things down, and there's swelling in your body and shortness of breath, this was one of the things that Clinton complained about prior to his death. And it's so easy to dismiss some of these, but if any of these are going on, you need to get your heart checked. 1 in 300 youth have an undetected heart condition, just like my son. 50% of them show no symptoms at all. I mean, other than these rare panic attacks, Clinton was fine. He actually was cleared to play basketball 2 days before. All children should be checked according to the American Pediatric Society, and really all people should be checked because we lose 365,000 people die per year from sudden cardiac arrest, and 23,000 of those are our children. Yes, our youth under 18 years of age. When it came to checking out a heart defect for Clinton, we didn't know what to ask, right? We weren't familiar with it. Again, we had no idea that he had a heart defect. But these are some of the things you should ask your kids and ask yourself, really, to check to see if you have a heart defect. 1, have you ever fainted? Have you ever felt dizzy or lightheaded or, especially when exercising? If any of that has gone on, you may have some heart issues. You ever have pains in your chest or shortness of breath? Like I said, Clinton complained about having shortness of breath when he was playing basketball. And they ran a test on him. And one of the tests that they ran was an EKG to check the electric magnetic force of his heart and check how that was going. The little stickers that they place. He passed with flying colors. There was no indication that there was anything wrong with his heart. And so his doctor was like, I could give you some asthma medication to, get you going, but really you don't have anything wrong with your heart. But what my son needed, the test he needed, was an echocardiogram, which is actually an ultrasound of the heart. That was the only way that his heart defect was going to be discovered. And so you need to ask, what test are you running? Are you doing an echocardiogram on my heart? Are you doing a CT scan? Are you doing an EKG? Are you checking for any artery issues? What exactly are you using to test us with? Ask the question. Anyone in your family that has had a heart issue, the doctor needs to know that when you go. We found out late. We knew of one of my husband's brothers that had a heart attack and had to have open heart surgery. What we didn't know is that his mother had had small heart attacks and strokes. My husband is a stroke survivor as well. We didn't really know that there are vascular issues that run in my husband's family. All of his nephews have had a stroke. All of his brothers have had heart issues. We had no clue. So it is so important for you to receive that family history of any type of heart issues and to pass that on to your doctor when you get in and you ask the doctor to evaluate you for a heart issue. And you asked, can you evaluate my arteries? Can you do a CAT scan, an ultrasound of my heart, and really check the arteries and make sure that everything is working fine? Advocate for your child and listen to them. Like I said, my son told me, Mom, he was an athlete. And really, I should have known he knew his body better than anybody because he was a basketball player and he knew how to take care of his body. And when he told me, Mom, this is not mental, we took him to a therapist and the therapist was like, he's a normal kid. He has no issues, mentally. I can't figure out why he's having panic attacks. You might want to take him back to the doctor. And we took him back to the doctor and the doctor was like, I'm going to set him up and put him in a clinic. And that clinic is going to have a team of doctors. It'll have a cardiologist. It'll have this, it'll have that. And of course, my insurance provider at the time turned it down and said, no, he's already been diagnosed. We're already told he has panic attacks. And his primary care physician fought. And finally, they relented and said, okay, we'll send him to this specialized clinic. But the week that he was set to go is the week that I found him. So advocate for your child and listen to them. But more importantly, advocate for yourself. Everyone should get their hearts checked. I know we took our family, my husband, myself, my daughter, I have another child. We all went and got our hearts checked. And what was so devastating to learn is that the issue that killed Clinton, when we showed the cardiologist who checked our hearts that issue, I will never, ever forget her saying, "Oh, Mrs. Walker, what Clinton had was easily repairable." That hurt me to my core to know that he could have been saved and it could have been corrected had it been caught. And so it set me on a mission to look into things like treatments. There's so many treatments now that are available, medication, simple blood pressure pills and water pills. People get fluid around the heart and they can take water pills for it. Heart rhythm medication, all of that is available to treat a heart defect. Cardiac catheterization, this is the thing that would have saved my son. This is what the cardiologist told me. We would have just done a simple cardiac catheterization, gone in through the groin, reopen up that left coronary artery and repair the damage. And it would have been minuscule and he would still be here today. There's heart surgery where, that's where you get into the bypass and the quadruple bypass and all the stents and things that they have available now. And now they can even do fetal cardiac intervention. So had Clinton been tested, even inside the womb, they can do operation for your fetus before your child is delivered. And finally, if those things don't work, you can get a full heart transplant. It's not like snap your fingers, you can get it, but it is a treatment and it is available to help you. Learning this and sharing this with so many people, I know can save so many lives because I've seen it happen within me and within sharing this information with others. And it has spurred me on to do what I now consider my life's work and my life's calling. Our family started the Clinton Ron Walker Foundation. In his memory, we do heart screenings, CPR trainings, and we purchase automatic external defibrillators for schools, for churches, for locations within the Georgia area. We provide heart education. I speak on heart education. My daughter has spoken. My husband has spoken. Our entire family, my mom, we all share Clinton's story. We all share how to recognize symptoms of a heart defect. We all share treatments that are available for heart defects, all within the hope that no family will experience what our family has experienced. And we provide scholarship to Georgia students in Clinton's memory. He was set to graduate and he was so excited about that. I mean, talked all day about, wait till I'm 18 and graduate and ready to go to college, like most kids. He wanted to go to Duke and he wanted to play basketball for Coach K. And, he had so many dreams and so many goals. And when he passed, I was given his journal. I had given him a journal. I forgot all about it. And my husband was cleaning up his room and found it and gave it to me. And in it, I read so many stories about his friends and the friendship and, how much it meant to him. And just over and over, friendship was a core factor for my son. So we established a scholarship for Georgia students. And what they have to do to get it is write a poem or an essay on friendship. There's no GPA requirement. It's really about being creative because Clinton was very creative. His writings were very creative. I mean, he wrote stories, and I know he's kind of a chip off the block because I'm a writer as well. I have a blog that I write. And he loved to do that and put together movie scenes and things like that. So we wanted to make sure that we honored him with the scholarship that, had he applied for it, we knew he would win. And so we founded the Clinton Ron Walker Scholarship Fund as well. And we give that out every year. We know that the work that we do is critical. We just saw the sudden cardiac arrest of Damar Hamlin, and we're still praying for him. But we're so excited that he's awake. And we know that it was because of CPR. It was because they had an automatic external defibrillator on the field. And that the work that we do, teaching CPR, purchasing automatic external defibrillators, is still very much needed. We want to take that 23,000 number and that 365,000 number down to zero. That is our goal. And we need your support to do that. We need you to donate to Youth for Healthy Hearts. That's our next organization. We ask that you continue to be with us on this journey as we speak about heart defects all across the country, and to be with us and support us when we give CPR trainings and automatic external defibrillators to schools and other locations. I thank you for your time this evening, and God bless you all.